Action Committee. Welcome, Adriane.
Thanks.
Next is Heather Taylor. Heather is the Chief Financial Officer at the City of Toronto. Prior to joining the city in 2018, Heather worked in the Ontario government, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, where she served as Assistant Deputy Minister and Chief Administrative Officer. Heather is also an award-winning lecturer at the University of Toronto for the CPA Financial Curriculum and the recipient of the Leadership Amethyst Award for creating women in government. Welcome, Heather. Next, we have Laurence Lavigne Lalonde, who is a Montreal City Councillor and the Executive Committee member responsible for ecological transition and resilience, Montreal Space for Life and Urban Agriculture. She holds a master's degree in international development from Sorbonne Paris University and has had the opportunity to work across Africa, Asia, and Latin America in that field. She's particularly interested in ways to fight poverty and promote inclusion and social integration through development and environmental protection. She firmly believes that sound management, democracy, and transparency are essential to improving conditions for citizens' lives. She's currently working on the realization of the climate plan, which is has the main objective of making Montreal a carbon neutral city by 2050. Welcome, Laurence. Next, we have Jennifer McKelvie, who's a Toronto City Councillor for Ward 25 Scarborough, Rouge Park, and the Mayor's Environment and Resilience Champion. Prior to being elected, she was an environmental geoscientist and has a PhD in earth science. Councillor McKelvie was supported by the L'Oreal UNESCO Women in Science Fellowship and for 10 years worked as a senior scientist at the Nuclear Waste Management Organization and as a research director at the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research. So we've got an amazing panel for today. So I'd like to start with first, we're very excited to announce the Women4Climate Toronto Mentorship Program today during World Environment Day. We know that the world is on hold because of COVID-19, but that climate change has not gone away. Right now, what's most paramount is the health and safety of people across the world. But I'd like to ask all the panelists, why is it so important today on World Environment Day and during this midst of this pandemic that we're still talking here about climate change? So I'd like to turn to all the panelists. Maybe Jennifer, can I start with you?
Well, thank you, Andrea, for this important conversation. And I'm so glad that we have Adriane and Laurence joining us from Montreal and Vancouver. And during this pandemic, I, like many of you, have been really thinking about what is the future that we want. And through all the conversations that I've had, I see that the commitment of residents to environmental action is unwavered, and it's still very much important to them. And certainly during this pandemic, we've seen the importance of social changes on the environment, with cities that had lockdowns in February having more than a 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution. So we've seen the impact that social changes can have. And I think Tanya Sermon from the Center for Social Innovation really said it best, that Mother Nature has sent us to our rooms to think about what we've done. And I think we're all doing a lot of thinking right now. And one thing we know is that the impacts of COVID-19 are being felt disproportionately by the same people that are going to feel the impacts of climate change more. And so we really need to think about that as we think about restarting our economy. And today is a first step in that important conversation.
Wonderful. Heather, over to you.
So first of all, I just want to say happy World Environment Day to everybody. I am pretty excited to be here, not only because it is a diversion away from conversations surrounding COVID. The city is in its 87th day of its emergency response, but this is such an important topic. We all know that COVID is a pandemic crisis in the day, in our moment today, but the climate change emergency that we're all experiencing is actually a generational issue. And I think that it's very fitting that the theme for this year's World Environment Day is time for nature. And as Jen just mentioned, with the reductions in GHGs that we've seen in such a short time, COVID has changed how we live, how we act, and how we play. And it's an opportunity to recalibrate. It's an opportunity to truly challenge how we're going to move forward. We're living an unexpected science experiment. we have seen and we now have data on how quickly that our changes in how we're behaving can actually have an impact on the environment. So I think today is a perfect opportunity to remind ourselves that COVID will pass. Climate change is here, it's now, it's real, and it's a wonderful reminder that we need to act, and we need to act quickly.
Thank you, Heather. I like that unexpected science experiment. I think that's a great way to describe things. Adriane, over to you.
Sure. And first of all, also happy World Environment Day, and congratulations to Toronto for launching your Women for Climate Mentorship Program. It's a wonderful program. You know, I get grounded in facts. On June 3rd, climate scientists noted that the parts per million of CO2 in an atmosphere reached 417. The last time Earth had over 400 parts per million of carbon, sea levels were over 20 meters higher. We are already facing, catastrophic storms, droughts, heat waves, loss of biodiversity, food shortages, climate refugees. The climate emergency is here and it's growing. And I believe it's the biggest existential threat to us as human beings and affects and could very much limit all of our children's future. The COVID-19 crisis has actually taught us something unbelievable, which is that we can move very rapidly when we want to at all levels of government and within civil society in order to protect our health and safety. And I just believe it's an opportunity right now for us to realize our potential for change and to move. No matter what the crisis is, we need to move on the environmental crisis of climate change. So this is just as a grand chance for us.
Wonderful. And Laurence?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. Actually, a lot have been said already. I think this pandemic, it's not a crisis on its own. It's really included in climate change, and I think this crisis, this pause that we have, gives nature a little time to express itself. And I think a lot of people that were less in this battle are starting to realize the importance of our connection, our relation with nature. And this little pause just highlights the beauty of nature because we can see that it's already expressing itself differently because of our change in our behavior, of way of living in those past months. So I think it's really important in that crisis to talk about, to celebrate this day, to remember that what we are living right now, it's just the reaction, it's the consequences of our action or our inaction of the past years. It's also a day to remember that we know all the solutions. They are in our hands. It's just for us to decide to take action. I think we do not have any excuses right now to not take action. This pandemic is the first that touches all the world right now since a lot of years, but it's not going to be the last. Climate change, it's not only storms, it's not only drought, it's also pandemics. So we have to connect those dots. We have to realize that we have the solutions, and it's already maybe late, but it's not too late if we can start today. And as Adriane said, a lot have been done in those 2 months to change the way we do. Governments have started to implement new action, new initiatives. It's just we realize that if we really want to, we can act quickly and change our future. So I think it's really important to celebrate this day and to talk about environment.
Thanks so much, Laurence. And I think that's great what you said. We don't have excuses right now. So COVID came as a surprise to everyone, but we've been hearing about the climate crisis for a very long time. So it's really the time to act and not use any more of those excuses. Just to follow up for you, Laurence. So Montreal is home to the Secretary of the Convention of Biological Diversity. And today, on World Environment Day, which also has this focus on biodiversity. We'd love to just hear more about the city's actions in this area and the kind of leadership on biodiversity that Montreal has shown.
Yes, well, right now, as we are speaking here, there's another event, a virtual event that was supposed to take place, really take place with people talking, but we changed it and now it's virtual. It's on the web, but there's a big event with people from different countries in the world, and it's been organized by Space for Life. That is a really great organization that we have here in Montreal that is actually for museums, the Botanical Garden, Biodome, and that are really focusing on the connecting human with nature, with the sky, with the plants, with the animals, with all kind of natures. So this event was organized with the UN Secretariat Convention on Biological Diversity, and the theme today is Activate Human Potential Towards Diversity. It's a really great event. We have Vandana Shiva that was there this morning. So it's a really great event to see how, exactly as we said before, what's our potential, how great we can be if we want to take action towards biodiversity. So we are really glad to have this relationship with the Biological Diversity UN Secret Convention. Also, as you may know, the Mayor of Montreal, Valérie Plante, is also ambassador of local biodiversity from ICLEI. So she really works to mobilize different cities around the world to protect biodiversity and plan cities with nature, not against, not besides, but really plan the city with nature inside. And we also have been working on the last 20 years. I wasn't city councillor at that time, but we have an ecosystem management program in our large parks. Montreal have 16 large parks. And this management program is really there to preserve our natural heritage and to do ecological monitoring, protect species at risk, and also trying to find ecological way to fight against invasive species as well. So this is something really that we work for 20 years, and in 2020 we received a biodiversity sector distinction from the Environmental Network in Quebec. So it's well recognized as a program. We also decided that we would pass from 6 to 10% of protecting areas in Montreal. We do massive tree plantings. We want to strengthen the canopy of the city. And we think it's really important for resilience towards the different crises that we are going to face. And we also, this is something small, but that shows our engagement. We decided to have a coyote management program because we have more and more coyotes in Montreal. And we had to discuss with the citizens that it's a relationship that we have to create with them. We are not going to just chase them. It's their territory as well. If they are now in Montreal, and if we see them more often, it's because of our behavior, because of our urbanizations. So we work with citizens to try to cohabit in a healthy way for us and for the coyotes. And I think it's another example. It's something really great that we announced a few, I think last year, the creation of the Great West Park. It's 3,000 hectares of urban park to protect natural areas in the West Island of Montreal. It will become Canada's largest municipal park, so we are really proud of that. And it will also be really a turning point in protecting wetlands. So we are really proud that we announced this park. We are already working to create this space to protect those lands, and it's great because it's also going to benefit all Montrealers that are going to be able to go to this park. And we also try to make this area something new, not only a park as we see that we go just for a walk or do bicycle, but we will try to find new ways of create agriculture on the site, because we know it's really important to have smaller chains of getting the food and everything. So we think we can do more agriculture in Montreal. We can do it in a sustainable way. So we are going to look at that through this huge park that we are creating in Montreal. So yes, we really are into biodiversity. We also, I'm gonna finish with that because I know there's a lot of people that want to talk also on that topic, but we decided to ban harmful pesticides on our territory. A few years ago, we decided to ban neonic, and this year we decided that we are going to ban glyphosate, so the Roundup, in Montreal. So this is really great to protect citizens, but also to protect biodiversity. So our engagement is really, really there into biodiversity.
Thanks so much, Laurence. That is an amazing list of things you're doing, and great inspiration for the other cities, and maybe a little competition there. Now that you've announced the largest municipal park in Canada, I think maybe
Yes.
Toronto and Vancouver need to think about that. So I'm going to move on to the next question, which is really focused about the announcement we're making today on the creation of the Women4Climate Mentorship Program in Toronto. So Vancouver, Montreal, you both have existing programs, and Toronto is joining as the 3rd Canadian city and the 16th city around the world in the C40 network. First, I'd like to start with Heather and Jennifer, just a little bit around how you're creating this Toronto program. And for those viewers out there who want to learn and maybe think about applying, how does the program work? Yeah, just tell us a little bit more about what you're intending to do here in Toronto.
Well, I am super excited. Today is the day that we're launching, and Toronto is really involved because our CFO, Heather Taylor, pulled me aside on my way to the C40 conference to say, attend the seminar on Women4Climate. We need to join this. So she's been an incredible champion of this program, of both the environment and also the advancement of women in the city of Toronto. So we are in good company. We are joining Montreal, Vancouver, 13 other countries, other cities. And our program in Toronto is presented by RBC and supported by EY. So we have some great Toronto companies that are also helping us in this endeavor. And our program is going to support 12 women, their ideas to address climate change through mentorship, networking, and a pitch competition. The mentorship program will involve one-to-one support so that the women can develop both themselves and their ideas, while the networking component will connect women to other women in Toronto, other women across Canada, and indeed around the world. And over 7 months, the women will refine their ideas and then compete in a pitch competition. And we are going to have an award of $20,000 that can be used for professional development and idea development. And it's really important right now that we are supporting ideas and innovation, because we need to become more resilient to the impacts of climate change. And we need to meet our targets in Toronto to be net zero by 2050. And I just want to point out something to everybody that's watching. It's important that we are looking for ideas that have no bounds, and they can be social, technological, or financial. And I also just want to thank, because I think this is something women do very well, is recognize other women and thank them. So thank Heather again, as well as both Daniela Marchese and Angie Camara, who have been supporting this program in Toronto. And I know Heather has more to add about how great the women of Toronto are.
Of course, the women of Toronto are great. I just want to build on what Jen said. I mean, this initiative is huge for Toronto. Toronto is the 4th largest city in North America. We have talent that we don't even know. We've got women who live, work, and study in the city. We want to provide them the training, the networks, the mentorship, the coaching. We want them to become the next global leaders in climate change. But I think what it is we're really confident that we have innovative thinkers in the city. We've got world-class academic institutions. We've got globally renowned hospitals. We are the leading growth city for tech. We've got a tech startup ecosystem that topped $3 billion last year. We know there's talent in Toronto, and this is just another wonderful way of tapping into that talent. You know, as Laurence just mentioned, we're not immune to pandemics or inequities. Our goal of the program is to bring new voices and new talent to the climate change stage. And I can't think of a better way to have it coming from the fourth largest city in North America.
Wonderful. So you are going to have a lot of applications, it sounds like.
Fingers crossed.
Great. Adriane, you are one of the mentors for Vancouver's Women4Climate program. Can you tell us a bit about how the experience has been? What do you think are the benefits for having women supporting other women, lending a helping hand to other women, and just what's it like being a mentor?
Yeah. Absolutely. But first of all, I just have to say, I'm so excited about the Toronto pitch competition and the $20,000. I mean, I'm going to take that back to Vancouver because we don't have that. And I think that's a wonderful idea. So I have to honestly say that being a mentor has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my political career. And maybe it's because I just, last year was paired with a really remarkable woman, but I think all the women in our program were remarkable. I saw in her a real passion for change and a super frustration with not able to get through the bureaucracy at City Hall. And I helped make that happen. So that was rewarding and wonderful. But I also realized that I'm also frustrated at times by the bureaucracy of City Hall, I have to say. And having an ally in a strong woman able to mobilize other people in civil society and bring their idea to City Hall was very inspiring. And I realized the power of that kind of partnership. So women helping women, this is absolutely critical. You know, why is that important? If there's no one-upmanship, there's just no competition. It's like focus on the job at hand, work together collaboratively, and get it done. Now, I think there's a really good reason why the United Nations says we should have a minimum of 30% of elected officials women. It's because they deliver more collaborative government and better policy. So this is such a great program.
Can I add something?
Please go ahead.
I think this relationship with the mentor is really, really great. I didn't myself participate in the program, but at the end of each year, we do a little event with the mayor and with all the women that did participate in the program. And it's really, really impressive, the relationship that they created when the mentoree meet the woman they were working with. It's like best friends recognizing each other. They are really happy to see each other. They build project besides of the project that they were supposed to work on. It's really, as Adriane said, a really great collaboration, a really sincere one. And it's really great to see that the competition is not the same. They all give advice, they all work together. It's really beautiful to see. And it gives results. So it's great. It's not just like they become friends. They become friends, but they also give a lot of results, a lot of new businesses or changes in the businesses that we can see after that in the city. So it's a really, really great relationship that gives a lot of results. So it's really impressive to see.
Great. And for all of the panelists, who do you think is the kind of ideal candidate to participate in such a program? And I know each city has set up their program in a slightly different way, but if you could each kind of speak to either who you're targeting in Toronto or in Montreal and Vancouver, what does that ideal candidate look like, so that those at home watching this can get a better understanding of whether this is the kind of thing that they might be interested in? Wants to jump in?
Oh, I'll jump in. So first of all, I think that from a perspective of being a candidate, I think it's really important to think about this, that you have to be clear about what you want to achieve, and you have to have a real passion for whatever the project is that you want to pursue, and a willingness to not be stymied by roadblocks, but really think creatively and work with your partner, other people in the whole team, and work your way around them. So just determination and resilience and willingness to work hard. Thinking the bigger picture in terms of the program itself and what we would be looking for now in Vancouver, beyond those kinds of characteristics, you know, I can't help but be really affected by the tragedy of George Floyd, and realizing that with also the pandemic going on right now, there has been an incredible rise in racism in Vancouver, especially against the Asian community. And so we have focused, even before these two things, we've started focusing on the need for diversity within the program. So women of many different backgrounds. And I think that there's a real strength to that. We're in this together on this planet. So our team has reached out recruiting through groups like Engineers Without Borders and Minerva, who do focus on promoting diversity and accelerating equality for women. And so I think that is something we should all be thinking about right now.
Yeah.
I echo absolutely what Adriane's saying. Climate change will affect everyone, everywhere. This is a program about investing in women, their ideas, and innovation. And if we really want to be successful combating climate change, we need to champion the ideas of women with diverse backgrounds and perspectives. And absolutely, in these times, it's important that we do recognize that systemic racism presents additional barriers for women of color and Indigenous women. And this is an opportunity that is open to everyone. And we encourage women from equity deserving groups to apply to the program because we need their voice at the table. And Women4Climate in Toronto does acknowledge the immediate need for partnerships with our Indigenous communities in leadership by Indigenous women. And in order to effectively address the impacts of climate change, we need to give them a seat at the table. This program is as much about people as it is about the environment. And I know that I'm really looking forward to reading all those applications from a diverse group of applicants. So if you're sitting at home watching this, please apply.
Yeah, Andrea, I'll jump in too. I mean, it goes back to when you said, what's an ideal candidate? I mean, obviously a candidate's going to have to be bold. It's somebody that has to have passion, someone that's going to be courageous, but also have the drive from taking a conceptual idea and taking it right through to implementation. One of the reasons why Toronto is so excited to actually bring this program to life is that we're one of the most multicultural societies in North America. And to Jennifer's comments about the diversity, it's the diversity of thought. And we are super excited in seeing the candidates coming from all different backgrounds. You know, someone once said to me, it provides an opportunity not only to set the table, but to sit at the table. And I just look at this and saying, I know Toronto's table is going to reflect the society that Toronto is. And I couldn't be more excited about coming together and making climate change our issue. And our issue and our thinking and our diversity is going to solve it.
Yeah, we know that climate change will affect the most vulnerable people. And we know that in the world right now, the most vulnerable people are often or always women. So I think it's something that we really, as Ida said, we really have to empower women. We really have to take action. We really have to believe in ourselves. So I think this program is really great for that as well, because it gives the opportunity to women sometimes that are maybe in doubt to be accompanied and to really go forward to achieve their goals. In Montreal as well, we have a special view towards actually we have a commitment to ensure that all the programs that we have in Montreal are inclusive, and we have been working with a gender basis analysis since a couple of years. Women4Climate, this initiative is for women, but we also work on a more intersectional perspective of this analysis, that it's not only focusing on women, but also with on other persons that are vulnerable. And we really want to, with this tool, to aim to take into account the different realities of the population in all the implementation of the municipal action. We really recognize the importance of diversity and social inclusion. So we, in this program, of course, we have a lot of criteria that women have to fill to be in the program, but also, as the other panelists said before, if you are really determined, if you have, sorry for my English, but if you really want to, if you prove that you can do it, you can be part of this program. We in the past accepted women that didn't fill all the criteria because they really wanted to, and they could prove that they will really have an impact in their businesses. We decided to accept them, and it gives really great results. So yes, there is criteria because we have to work with those, but sometimes you can just, I don't know, push the door and decided to open and go in, and it gives a result as well. So we did invite a lot of people, but we did learn as well that the criteria are not always, they do not always need to, sometimes they exclude people, and we have to be open mind as well to make sure that people that really want to go in, they have a place to go in.
Can I add another point to that, just on top of what Laurence has just said? Is that okay?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay. And that is, it seems like we're portraying the program as, you know, attracting women who have great ideas and a lot of get up and go on them. You know, in Vancouver, what I really noticed too was there are a lot of women who have joined our program who are a bit nervous. Like they've got a good idea, but they're not confident yet about that idea. It's one reason I think they want to join the program and be mentored. And I remember one woman in particular who wanted to change the whole like of landscaping practices so that they would be less greenhouse gas emitting and not moving landscape materials from large distances away, for example. And she didn't really achieve that, and she was very frustrated and didn't feel good about the fact that she didn't get this big goal done. But then when we talked, I realized that, she told me, but my own firm has totally changed our practices, and all the partners who originally were not very happy about this idea have all become advocates. And so I said to her, well, you've won. Like, you've really made change happen. It starts that way. You don't get everything all at once.
Absolutely, and that's great to emphasize that while the programs have a big focus on those passionate women, the idea is to support those women who are really at an early stage in their career, who are thinking about these things, but need that leg up, need that support from someone who's maybe gone through that or is in a different position in their career, who can give that really helpful advice and that encouragement that all women need. So the design of these programs is really to also support some of the goals of the climate adaptation and mitigation work that each of your cities are undertaking. And obviously with climate change, the impacts that we see in the three different cities are quite different. Can you each talk about how the program will support the kind of activities that you're doing in your city? Some of you talked about very ambitious plans that you're working on for net zero by 2050, which is really great. Seaport is a big supporter of that. So can you tell us a little bit more about how this program can link up to what each of your cities are working on?
So I'm happy to start for Toronto. We're looking for ideas that align with Transform TO and the resilience strategy. So Transform TO is our ambitious plan to decrease greenhouse gas emissions. And in October, we did join 800 other municipalities in 16 different countries with the goal of net zero by 2050. So today we're joining another movement by joining Women4Climate. And the timing could not be better for the women to apply into this program, because right now we are updating our plans for Transform TO and laying out that roadmap to 2050. So the course is wide open and the pathway is by no means defined. So every idea is really on the table right now. And just a few things that we're doing, because I think it's always important that we talk about the good. In the City of Toronto, we've purchased 60 electric buses to be North America's new greenest, biggest fleet. We completed a solar panel and energy project at one of our paramedic stations, which decreases emissions by 30%, and it's just one of, to kick it off, we hope for many more. We're building our own net zero building, an 18,000 square foot childcare center in the Mount Dennis community. And then in my community, I'm really excited because we're gonna have our first fully automated electric shuttle that will take people from their homes to a nearby transit hub. So there's a lot of technology and innovation that's happening in Toronto, and certainly we're looking for ideas from women that can contribute to that. But I don't think we talk enough about the power of social innovation, and I'm hoping through this competition we're going to see some of that brought to the table as well. And if you think about COVID-19 and some of the changes that we've had, I think there's a way for us to get some momentum in these environmental changes. So I encourage applications also that look at how can we encourage people to continue to work from home and use active transportation. How can we encourage people to invest in their homes and home efficiency? I mean, arguably a lot of our challenges aren't technological anymore, they're about adoption. How can we be more thoughtful about food and groceries? I know in my house during COVID-19, because we're only grocery shopping once a month, we're a lot more thoughtful about food and the way we're shopping and how we're using it. And how can we encourage residents to shop locally? Because shopping locally can have a global impact by cutting down on resource use. But even as we do our part in the City of Toronto to reduce greenhouse gas emissions under Transform TO, we know that the impacts of climate change are being felt right here, right now. And we see that with the hotter, wilder weather that we have. And aside from being a tongue twister, it's also a problem. And I know that the resilience strategy is really looking at how we can adapt and survive with climate change. And to do that, it's really not about leaving environment in its own silo anymore. It's about making it a little more broad and embedding it into everything that we do. And so I'm really happy that I'm going to pass it off to Heather, because I know she's really embraced that in the way that she manages the finances of our city. And I'm hoping she can share some of that with us as well, because hopefully some of these applications might also have a financial plan.
So thanks, Jen. And it is interesting. The city, in actual fact, has embraced climate change and the UN's environmental, social, and governance goals as well. And what we've done is we introduced in 2018 a green bond program. And the green bond program is offered in other municipalities and other governments. But what it does is it highlights to investors the importance of reducing the carbon footprint of the city by financing projects that are specific to reducing carbon. So Jen mentioned our electric fleet for our transit system, and that was just a start. We issued green bonds in 2018, 2019, and I'm proud to say that we're going to do it again in 2020. But what we did this year, and I'm really, really thrilled to say within the last month, we've actually issued a social bond framework. And this, what this does is it puts Toronto yet again on the map. We were the first municipality to do this. We have now a sustainability framework that finances projects that support the UN's ESG goals. And from this, we will be funding projects that combat climate change, combat resiliency, social inequities. And this again is just, you know, a simple way of moving forward. We're in a unique position because the city not only issues debt, but we're also investors. And so now what we're doing is we're implementing investment policies where our investments will be in companies and in entities that share those common goals and common principles And we're aligned with them, not only for how we want to be perceived by investors, but what we expect of our investors. And it all supports the ultimate principle of the climate change and the social benefit that the City of Toronto is trying to represent and striving for.
Great. So lots of financial innovation, social innovation, technological innovation from Toronto. How about in Montreal, Laurence?
Well, this program was first integrated in a program that Montreal had before. It's a Sustainable Development Initiative. It's an initiative that was developed by economic development in the City of Montreal, and that really wanted to improve entrepreneurs' understanding of their power to act in terms of sustainable development. So we already had such a kind of program. So it was really integrate into this program to make sure that we have more women, that we really work with them, as we said before, with the objective that we said before. But it also, we are really proud to have to work with this program, because Montreal had a lot of commitment in the past year. We decided that we were going to advance towards zero waste, that we will divert from landfill 85% of the waste that we generate here in Montreal. We decided also that circular economy was something that we were going to work with, net zero building as well. So all those programs, all those commitments that we can work with. It's really great if the City of Montreal work with all those programs and we focus on our objectives, but we have to work, if we want to achieve those goals, we have to work with all the society. We have to work with citizens, we have to work with businesses. So this program, it's really great because it's going to help us achieve those goals that we cannot achieve alone. And also we received last summer the funds to create the equivalent of the TAF in Toronto. So in Montreal now we are working on the climate fund, the Greater Montreal Climate Fund. So also this program where with Women4Climate, where people are going to start thinking of ideas, trying to change the businesses. Some great ideas, some innovation, some technologies, we can also transfer after that to the climate fund and see how can we ensure that those great ideas, those great innovation, they are not just going to stay on the table, but they are going to be put in place. They are going to be developed and they are going to shown to the rest of the world. So this is really, really great. So this program is going to be really implemented and helping us in every way that we are working to achieve those really ambitious goals that we set for Montreal.
Amazing. So it's going to have, the program has a really strong entrepreneurial focus, and it's interesting, it's tied to your economic development department. It's been a kind of partner in that. Mm-hmm. And that's great to see the Montreal Fund there. That's how you also create the circular economy. You're reinvesting in these wonderful initiatives coming forward. That's amazing. Adriane, how about in Vancouver? Could you tell us a bit about the program there?
Sure. The program really does complement the Women4Climate Mentorship Program, sinks in with it, because I think there's lots of links, and they're very powerful, and they focus on where we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions the most. Those are in two sectors, housing and transportation. 60% of our emissions come from inefficient buildings, heating with fossil fuels, for example, and 40% or so almost come from transportation. So we have last year, there were a number of projects that focus on that. I'm going to leave kind of my prime one for the last question, the woman that I worked with around a really great achievement in the city. But there was a woman who started up a solar PV installation program. There were people that were working on resilience in a larger sense, food security, for example, which is also part of reducing the need for more the kind of imports, which can be very problematic in a time we've seen like COVID. This time we've got people involved in high performance building products. There's a project on that, on cycling to work initiatives. Another mentee looking also at the kind of diversity end is working to ensure that there are renewable energy initiatives accessible to newcomers, immigrants, lower income and Indigenous families. And there's another one that's focused specifically on bringing renewable energy supply to Indigenous communities. So I think that they're all in sync around that, reduce our GHGs in the biggest areas.
Thanks. Those are all really amazing programs, the way they've been set up. And I think it's really exciting what we'll see coming into Toronto.
The one that that I really, it was so exciting. I was so lucky with a woman named Clara George, and she is an award. So she had all these blocks, she just couldn't get it through. So we worked together. And in fact, at our very first meeting, we were so excited, we started drafting a motion to council to move the industry off diesel and gas generators. And so it was like really a win-win situation. So she brought it, so I brought the motion to council, and in getting it reviewed by staff, they started to get so excited about this. They said, well, Adriane, what about not limiting this to the film industry, but why don't we just say, let's get rid of all gas and diesel generators, period, within the city. And that's what passed unanimously at council. Like, that's big impact.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really incredible, that kind of policy change. That's great. Who else wants to jump in?
I can.
Andrea,
I can go. Oh,
go ahead.
Well, as I said before, the City of Montreal decided to advance towards zero waste. We remember that the C40 pledge was divert 70% by 2030, and the City of Montreal said, well, that's great, but we'll go 85% by 2030. Why not? So we present the waste management plan program a few months ago. We just received the response from the commission that studied it, and the first recommendation was go ahead with the plan, so that's great. And we had a woman that participated in the 2018 program in Montreal. Her name is Andrea Fernández, and she's the founder of Épicerie Locaux, which is a grocery called Locaux, and it's a green and zero waste grocery store. So actually her project was really well accepted by the population, and she now offer different, she had now offer us, sorry, I'll start again. Now, with the COVID, she decided as well that she will still be open, even if if people go and fill their own cup, everything was stopped during this period, but she decided that she will work with another system. So she started to deliver, and she did a lot of things like that. But she inspired others. She now give conferences, and she's really, really, she started to work with community as well and other groceries. And this kind of initiatives is really the kind that we want to see more and more, because it's it started small. She really had to build her own customers, because her store is really close to a grocery store. So she really had to change the habit of the people around, and she really did it well. And she's inspiring a lot of other person and other entrepreneur right now. And those kind of initiatives are really going to help us achieve our goals. So this is a small initiatives, but that had also and will continue to have great impact in Montreal.
Amazing, amazing. Heather, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I'll come at it from a little bit of a different perspective. So we know that from a climate change perspective, there will be benefits to Toronto. But when we were looking at launching our program, we really wanted to build on the successes that Montreal and Vancouver had experienced. But when you pause and look at the fact that we've got 3 major cities in Canada that are now going to represent Canada on the global stage, we're really signaling to the community that we want women to be climate change leaders on a global stage. And we're truly hoping that maybe this will in actual fact incent other organizations, other municipalities to join in. Because I think it was Adriane who mentioned at the beginning, this isn't a competition necessarily. This is about rallying and getting people excited. And so we look at the opportunity of truly enhancing Canada's profile on the world stage of promoting women in the area of climate change.
And likewise, just like all the great other speakers with us today, this program, hearing the ideas is just amazing because they can be adopted by others, they can be rolled out to other cities. But something I think we haven't really touched on how much is how inspired we can be by those ideas. And certainly hearing about the ideas from Montreal and Vancouver makes me feel inspired. And I do want to tell a story about when I went to the C40 summit and attended the Women for Climate seminar, and Mayor Aki Sawyer spoke at the summit, and I was just so incredibly inspired by her. In 2017, Freetown in Sierra Leone had a mudslide that killed over 1,000 people in just minutes, and it's just a real reminder of the impacts of climate change, and that what we do in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver really does impact the world. And I was so inspired by her that I grabbed Mayor Tory and I dragged him over and I said, you need to meet the woman that I want to run the world one day. And I truly do want Mayor Aki Sawyer to run the world because she's just absolutely incredible. So here I am 7,000 kilometers away, being inspired by both her strength and her compassion. And they're now undertaking in Freetown an ambitious initiative to plant over 1 million trees in 1 year to provide slope stability and sequester carbon. And just for some perspective, in Toronto, we plant 120,000 trees annually. So she's really taken on an ambitious challenge. She's a role model to us all. And so I think that as much as we're looking to mentor these women that participate in the program, I think we're also going to receive a whole lot by participating in it. And that's really the power of Women for Climate.
Amazing. If we can just pull up the final screen, because I think we need to end now, so we can give everyone the link to the website. I want to thank the panelists for joining us today, and thanks to RBC, the presenting sponsor of the Toronto program, and to EY, the event sponsor. We are really excited to have Toronto join the Women for Climate Mentorship Program as the third Canadian city, and we look forward to meeting the participants in September. Thanks everyone very much, and have a good day.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah. Stay safe and healthy.
Hello, nous sommes à Paris, nous sommes à l'hôtel de ville et dans quelques instants, la conférence Women for Climate va démarrer.
Women for Climate.
If we are talking about the future, we can't have that conversation without talking about climate action.
I'm Dr. Vandana Shiva from India, a place called Dehradun up in the Himalaya. It's a pleasure to join Women for Climate.
I am very pleased to give the stage to a young woman who is taking the lead on climate action, Yuna Maret.
Merci. 3 years ago, the national leaders of the world met in Paris and took responsibility for our planet, committing to take climate action and to build a safer and greener tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Lily and I'm one of the
Women for Climate.
Women for Climate. Women for Climate. Women for Climate program. Mentees from Montreal, Paris, Mexico City, Quito, and Tel Aviv.
My message to them is, it's so wonderful you're rising. It's so wonderful you're recognizing your power. It's so wonderful that your courage is guiding the future.